Life has a curious way of imparting its wisdom. We believe that by controlling every detail, the outcomes, the timing, the reactions of others, we can forge the life we desire. So we plan, we push, we grasp, convinced that sheer force of will can bend the world to our liking. But this relentless effort often leaves us frustrated and exhausted. What if the secret to a fulfilling life lies not in forcing, but in yielding? What if everything begins to flow, not when we hold on tighter, but when we finally let go? This isn't about giving up. It is about understanding where your true power resides. The Stoics mastered this art centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius spoke of accepting the natural course of things, of not wasting our energy fighting reality itself. He knew that the struggle against what we cannot change is the very source of our suffering. The real battle, the only one that matters, is within. It is the discipline of training the mind to shape what it can, and to release the rest. This is the journey we embark on today. A fundamental shift in mindset that can transform your approach to success, to relationships, and to your own inner peace. If you are caught in a cycle of stress, feeling that your efforts are constantly thwarted, there is a reason. You may be clinging to things never meant to be controlled. This is more than a simple talk on self-improvement. It is an exploration of how to live with genuine confidence, to move through the world with calm certainty instead of anxious frustration. And if you stay with me, I promise you will leave with a new perspective on how to attain what you desire in life, not by desperately chasing it, but by allowing it to find you. Before we begin, a simple, free request. If this message resonates with you, please consider subscribing. It takes but a moment, yet it helps us bring this work to others who may need to hear it. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Detach from the outcome. So much of our existence is spent obsessing over results. We wait for the job offer, hope the relationship endures, and stress over whether our efforts will be rewarded. We tell ourselves that if we just push harder, we can force the outcome we desire. But what truly happens? The more we cling to a specific result, the more anxious we become. The journey loses its joy, and our happiness becomes conditional, tethered to something we can never fully control. This is the trap we set for ourselves. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our attachment to how we wish events would unfold. He advised, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish for things to happen as they do, and you will be happy. In essence, release your happiness from the prison of a single outcome. Instead, find your fulfillment in the process, in your actions, your discipline, your mindset. Let go of the rest. Consider an artist before a canvas. If they are consumed by the fear of a single imperfect brushstroke, or by how the world will judge their final piece, they will never find their creative flow. But when they detach from the result and immerse themselves in the simple act of painting, something magical occurs. They are lost in the moment. The work becomes effortless. And ironically, it is then that they create their greatest art. This principle holds true for everything: work, relationships, personal growth. When you stop fixating on how things must turn out, you grant yourself the freedom to savor the journey. This is especially true in our connections with others. Think of someone trying too hard to impress. Their energy feels needy, desperate, and forced. Inevitably, it pushes people away. But a person who is confident, at ease, and unconcerned with a particular outcome naturally draws others in. Why? Because they are not governed by fear. They trust that what is meant to be will be. This is the power of detachment. Now, let's consider success. Many of us treat life like a rigid checklist. Graduate by this age, earn this much, marry by that date. If the plan derails, we spiral into self-doubt. But success is never a straight line. It is a winding path of twists, setbacks, and unforeseen opportunities. If you are too attached to one destination, you may miss an even more beautiful one that life is offering. Take a moment to ask yourself, what am I holding on to too tightly? What expectation is causing me stress? Now imagine releasing your grip. This is not surrender. It is trust. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you will be okay. This is detachment. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing things to go a certain way to feel whole. To practice this, remind yourself daily that outcomes are beyond your control. All you command is your effort and your attitude. Reframe your thoughts from, I need this to happen, to I trust that whatever happens is for my growth. And finally, anchor yourself in the present. The more you inhabit the now, the less power the future holds over you. Number 2. Master your mindset. Life is a relentless series of challenges. On some days, we move with effortless grace. On others, it feels as if the world is conspiring against us. The difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who thrive is not luck. It is mindset. The way you think literally shapes your experience of reality. If you do not learn to master your mind, it will surely master you. You cannot always control external events, the economy, the actions of others, the sudden obstacles. But you can always control your response. And in that choice lies your power. When you shift from simply reacting to consciously responding, everything changes. The psychologist William James once wrote, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." This is pure Stoicism. You do not have to believe every thought that drifts into your mind. You do not have to let a difficult moment define your entire existence. Instead, you can train yourself to reframe challenges, to step back and see them from a new vantage point. Imagine a difficult period at work. Mistakes are piling up, your boss is watching closely, and the feeling of failure is creeping in. One path is to think, I'm terrible at this. I'll never improve. I'm just not good enough. This is a fixed mindset, and it is a cage of self-doubt. But what if you chose another thought? What if you said, I am learning. Every mistake is a lesson. This pressure is forging my strength. That is a growth mindset. It transforms struggles into opportunities. The Stoics believed every obstacle was a chance to practice virtue, patience, resilience, wisdom. Seneca famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every frustration, every setback, is training. It is mental weightlifting. Without resistance, you cannot build strength. The same is true for your mind. But let's be honest, mastering your mindset is a daily practice, not an overnight transformation. Begin by paying attention to your inner dialogue. Are you feeding yourself thoughts of fear and negativity? Or are you cultivating thoughts of opportunity and calm? Your mind is a garden. If you plant seeds of anxiety, that is what will grow. But if you intentionally plant seeds of strength and clarity, they will flourish instead. Another powerful tool is to train your focus on the present. So much of our stress is born from replaying the past or rehearsing fears about the future. Yet the only moment you can ever influence is this one, right now. The next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself a simple question. What is one thing I can do right now to move forward? This single question can pull you from the spiral of panic and return you to a place of power. Number 3. Trust in divine timing. Patience may be the most difficult virtue to cultivate, especially when you are pouring your heart into something important. You've done the work, you've followed the steps, and yet, nothing. The silence can be deafening, the waiting frustrating. Our world screams for instant results, and if we don't see them, we assume we're doing something wrong. But life does not operate on our schedule. It moves to its own sacred rhythm, and trying to rush the process only ever leads to disappointment. The Stoics understood this profoundly. Epictetus observed, "No great thing is created suddenly." Let that sink in. Anything of true value, wisdom, strength, a great love, a masterpiece, requires time. You cannot force a tree to grow faster by pulling on its branches. In the same way, you cannot force life to yield its gifts before the time is right. There is an order to things, and when you learn to trust that timing, you liberate yourself from a world of needless stress. Imagine a young artist dreaming of recognition. They work tirelessly, but the world doesn't seem to notice. At this crossroads, they have two choices. They can grow bitter, lose faith, and abandon their craft. Or they can trust that every brushstroke is preparing them for something greater, even if it remains unseen. Those who trust the process keep going. And one day, often when they least expect it, they find themselves exactly where they were meant to be. We live in a culture of instant gratification. We've been conditioned to believe that if it doesn't happen quickly, it isn't worth the wait. But some things, the most important things, must take time. Socrates once said, "To do is to be." This means the growth is in the journey itself, not merely in the arrival. If you are always fixated on when, you miss the beauty of who you are, becoming. So, how do you remain patient when it feels like nothing is happening? The Stoics would advise you to focus on what you can control. You cannot control the timing, but you can control your actions today. You can keep showing up, you can keep learning, and you can trust that if something is meant for you, it will arrive, not a moment too soon or a moment too late. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you." Instead of resisting life's rhythm, learn to move with it. If things are unfolding slowly, perhaps it's because you are still becoming the person who is ready to receive them. Number 4. Act with purpose, not desperation. Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you chase something, the faster it seems to flee? A job, a relationship, a goal. The more frantic and needy your energy, the more it slips through your fingers. It's as if the universe can sense desperation and instinctively recoils. But when you act from a place of calm, confident purpose, things begin to align naturally. There is a profound difference between chasing and attracting. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, before you act, be clear on why you are acting. Desperate action springs from fear, fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Purposeful action, however, comes from a place of clarity and inner strength. When you know who you are and what you stand for, your actions become deliberate and grounded. Consider two people seeking a new job. The first is desperate. They blast out applications indiscriminately, panicking with every rejection. Their energy is scattered and anxious. The second is purposeful. They know their strengths. They take the time to craft thoughtful applications for roles that truly align with them. They prepare diligently but without obsessing over the outcome. Who is more likely to succeed? The one who acts from a place of calm, strategic confidence. The same is true in relationships. If you enter a connection out of a desperate fear of loneliness, you will likely attract disappointment. But when you approach others with self-respect and a full heart, you invite healthier, more fulfilling bonds. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves, not those who are grasping for validation. Aristotle spoke of eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that comes from living with virtue and purpose. True happiness, he argued, is not found in chasing external things, but in aligning your actions with your deepest values. When you move with intention rather than panic, you make better decisions. You stop wasting energy on things that do not serve your true path. Think of a master chess player versus a novice. The novice reacts impulsively, driven by fear. The master plays with patience, seeing the whole board, making deliberate choices. Life is the same. If you are constantly reacting to fear, you will make moves that lead to more chaos. But if you pause, act with clarity, and trust the process, you will move steadily toward the life you truly desire. So, how do you make this shift? First, get clear on your why. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly want it, or because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't get it? Second, slow down. Desperation rushes, purpose moves with patience. And finally, trust yourself. You don't need to force things into place. When you act with confidence and integrity, opportunities come to you. As Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Release the imagined fears, act with purpose, and watch as the world begins to align in your favor. Number 5, let go of control. Have you ever felt the deep exhaustion that comes from trying to manage everything? You plan, you push, you strategize, but life refuses to follow your script. You try to shape people's behavior, force circumstances into place, and anticipate every outcome, only to find yourself more stressed and less in control than ever. The harder you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. But here lies the great paradox. The moment you truly let go, life begins to work with you. The Stoics saw this as the path to true liberation. Epictetus declared, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." True freedom is not the power to command the world around you. It is the wisdom to release the need to. Every ounce of energy you spend trying to manage the unmanageable, other people's opinions, the future, the past, is energy drained from your own life. But when you redirect your focus to what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, you reclaim your power. Take relationships. Have you ever tried to change someone? You wanted a friend, a partner, a family member to be different, more supportive, more understanding. But no matter what you did, they remained themselves. That is because people are not ours to control. We can communicate our needs, set our boundaries, and choose who we share our lives with. But we cannot force another soul to change. When you release that need, you free yourself from endless frustration and allow your relationships to be what they truly are. The same applies to success. It is good to work toward your goals, but obsessing over every detail, stressing about timing, and living in fear of failure only creates resistance. Seneca offered a powerful image. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. When you fight against the natural flow of life, you create struggle. But when you trust the process and focus only on what is in your power, things unfold with far greater ease. Imagine you're preparing for an important interview. You've done the research and practiced your answers. But instead of trusting your preparation, you begin to overthink. What if they ask a question I don't know? What if I fail? Your energy shifts from confidence to anxiety. You walk into the room tense and second-guessing yourself. The need for control has sabotaged your performance. But if you take a breath, remind yourself you've done the work, and let go of the outcome, you enter relaxed, present, and far more likely to shine. To begin letting go, first, recognize what is and is not in your power. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Wasting energy on the uncontrollable is the definition of futility. Second, practice acceptance. Life will not always follow your plan, but a detour is not a dead end. Sometimes it leads to a better destination. And finally, build trust, not just in the universe, but in yourself. Trust that you have the strength to handle whatever comes your way, even if it's not what you expected. Number 6. Embody the energy of abundance. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract success, opportunity, and joy effortlessly? It isn't a secret advantage. It is their mindset. The way they think, the way they carry themselves, and the way they view the world creates a reality where abundance flows to them. In contrast, those who constantly focus on what they lack seem to struggle endlessly, no matter how hard they work. This isn't about luck. It is about the energy you radiate. The Stoics understood this long before the law of attraction became a modern concept. Epictetus stated, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True abundance is not about hoarding achievements or endlessly chasing more. It is the profound realization that you already possess everything you need to live a fulfilled life. When you cease to operate from a mindset of scarcity, the belief that there is never enough, you create the space for more to enter your life naturally. Imagine two people walk into the same room. One is focused on everything they don't have, the connections they lack, the opportunities missed, the people who are more successful. Their energy is closed, guarded, and resentful. The other person walks in and sees a room full of potential, new conversations, interesting ideas, the chance to learn or to share. Their energy is open, curious, and grateful. Which one do you think will leave with a new friend or a business idea? The one who embodies abundance. Scarcity sees competition. Abundance sees collaboration. Scarcity sees problems. Abundance sees opportunities. This energy is not passive. It is an active choice. It is choosing to focus on gratitude for what you have, rather than bitterness for what you don't. It is trusting that there is enough success, enough love, and enough happiness for everyone, including you. When you embody this energy, your actions change. You give freely without expecting anything in return. You celebrate the success of others because you know it doesn't diminish your own. You take risks not from a place of fear, but from a place of trust in your own worth. And in doing so, you become a magnet for the very things you once chased. You attract what you are. So today, choose to see the world through the lens of abundance. Begin your day by naming 3 things you are grateful for. When you feel envy, reframe it as inspiration. And when you are faced with a choice, ask yourself, am I making this decision out of fear and lack, or out of trust and abundance? Your answer will determine the path you walk, and the world that rises to meet you. Imagine 2 individuals entering the same room, each carrying a world of their own making. The first is burdened by comparison, forever feeling a step behind, convinced that success is a distant shore they will never reach. There's a weight to their presence, a shadow of doubt in their words that, without their knowing, pushes opportunity away. The second individual enters with a quiet assurance, a core belief that they are already enough, that they possess enough knowledge, enough skill, and that the path ahead is rich with possibility. They move with confidence, forge connections with ease, and leave with doors open that the first never even saw. The only true difference between them lies not in their circumstances, but in their perception. One lives in a world of scarcity, the other in a world of abundance. This principle extends far beyond the realms of wealth or career. It is woven into the very fabric of our lives, in our relationships, our happiness, even our perception of time itself. If you operate from a belief that there is never enough, not enough love, not enough time, not enough goodness in the world, your mind becomes a detective, tirelessly seeking evidence to prove that belief true. But when you consciously shift your focus, a new reality begins to emerge. Suddenly, you see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You recognize the subtle kindness in a stranger's eyes, the quiet potential held within each passing moment, and the countless blessings that have been present in your life all along. As the psychologist William James profoundly observed, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. When your thoughts are consumed by a sense of what's missing, your brain locks onto that feeling of lack. But when you train your mind to seek out abundance, when you actively practice gratitude, cultivate confidence, and place your trust in the flow of life, you begin to reshape your entire reality." This isn't a trick of magic. It is the fundamental power of perception. For in the garden of the mind, whatever you focus on is what will inevitably grow. Consider a musician navigating their career from a place of scarcity. They are haunted by the fear that there are too few opportunities, that the industry is an insurmountable fortress, that their dream is destined to fail. Every rejection becomes a confirmation of their deepest anxieties. Paralyzed by this fear, they play it safe, they hesitate, and they watch as potential breakthroughs drift by. Now, picture another musician, one who operates from a belief in abundance. For them, every no is not a dead end, but a redirection. Every challenge is not a setback, but a chance to refine their craft. They take bold risks, they connect authentically with others, and they ultimately find their stage, not through sheer luck, but because they chose to embody abundance over fear. So, how can you begin to cultivate this sense of abundance in your own life? It begins with a simple yet powerful practice: gratitude. Shift your attention from what you lack to what you already possess. When you genuinely appreciate the gifts in your life, you create an energy that naturally draws more of them to you. Next, begin to act as if. Move through your days with a quiet confidence, an inner knowing that the world is filled with unseen opportunities waiting for you. And finally, practice the art of release. Let go of a desperate attachment to specific outcomes, and instead, trust. Trust that what is truly meant for you will arrive not through force, but through a natural alignment of your actions and your beliefs. Have you ever found yourself obsessing over a goal, pushing with all your might, only to feel as though you're running in place? You follow all the rules, you take every prescribed step, but the desired outcome remains frustratingly out of reach. We are raised in a culture that tells us success is a product of relentless effort, that we must never stop, never give in. But this narrative misses a crucial truth. There is a profound difference between aligned, purposeful action and frantic, desperate action. The true key to progress often lies in understanding the subtle rhythm of when to push forward and when to gracefully step back. The ancient Stoics understood this delicate balance. As Seneca wisely wrote, "Effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety." In a world that glorifies the grind, the relentless belief that brute force will bend reality to our will, this wisdom is more relevant than ever. True, sustainable success is not born from blind, exhaustive effort. It is the result of taking inspired, intelligent steps, remaining open and aware, and then having the wisdom to allow life to unfold as it must. When we try to force an outcome, we inadvertently create resistance. It's like trying to untie a stubborn knot. The harder you pull, the tighter it cinches. Consider the simple act of falling asleep. You cannot command your mind to rest. In fact, the more desperately you try, the more wakeful and restless you become. But in the moment you surrender, the moment you relax and let go, sleep comes to you naturally. This same principle governs our greatest pursuits. In success, in relationships, in our own growth. Yes, we must take action. But then, we must also learn to trust the process. Think of a farmer tending to his field. He diligently prepares the soil, plants the seeds, and provides the water and sunlight they need to thrive. But once that work is done, he does not dig up the seeds each morning, demanding to see progress. He understands that growth has its own timeline. He trusts that, in its own time, the harvest will come. To rush the process would be to destroy the very potential he worked so hard to create. Life operates by this same natural law. You do your part, you take the necessary action, and then you must have the faith to let things develop in their own season. This wisdom echoes through every corner of our experience. Consider the realm of human connection. We've all encountered the energy of someone who is trying too hard. Their constant need for reassurance feels heavy. Their eagerness almost desperate. And then, we know the presence of one who is calm and self-assured. They express genuine interest, but they also grant others the space to be. This person is naturally magnetic, precisely because they are not forcing a connection. This is the power of aligned action followed by release. You create the space for life to flow toward you, rather than suffocating it with need. Apply this to your career. Perhaps you've been relentlessly hustling, trying to force open every door, only to find them all locked. What if, instead of panicking, you chose to trust? What if you poured your energy into simply being excellent at your craft, into building authentic connections, and into allowing the right opportunities to reveal themselves at the right time? This is not a call for passivity. It is a call to cease the futile attempt to control every single outcome. It is about taking smart, purposeful action, and then trusting that your path will unfold. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly in his meditations, writing, "Do what you must, and let what happens, happen." This is the very essence of aligned action. You focus entirely on what is within your power, your effort, your discipline, your mindset. You do not, however, obsess over the results, because the fundamental truth of existence is that no matter how meticulously you plan or how hard you push, some things will always remain beyond your control. The more you fight this reality, the more stress and frustration you invite into your life. So how do we bring this philosophy into our daily lives? First, gain absolute clarity on your intention, and then take the required steps. Prepare, practice, learn. Do your part with excellence. Second, consciously release the need to control the when and the how of the outcome. Accept that universal timing is not always your own. And third, place unwavering faith in your own resilience. Know that even if the path veers from your original plan, you have the strength to adapt, the capacity to grow, and the vision to find new avenues of opportunity. Ultimately, a well-lived life is not about controlling the external world, but about mastering your internal one. The moment you shift your energy from chasing to aligning, from forcing to flowing, you will find that things begin to fall into place with a surprising and beautiful grace. The Stoics understood this timeless truth centuries ago, and now it is yours to embrace. So, take a deep breath, trust the process, and remember that your true power is, and always has been, within. If this message resonated with you, we invite you to explore the video now appearing on your screen, which will guide you even deeper into the heart of Stoic wisdom. Continue your journey of learning with us, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to ensure you never miss a new insight. Thank you for being a part of our community. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.